Hey guys, this is Mr. K. Today we're looking at just doing some breakdown of different types of vegetables. This is a zucchini squash. This is a green zucchini squash. Some of you might be familiar with the yellow squash. There are butternut squash. There are pumpkin squashes, but this right here is a classic green zucchini squash. This and the yellow taste quite a lot alike. They just happen to be different color, so they work good when you put them in contrast with each other. Some people like to saute these. Some people like to grill these. I personally like to do both. I'm going to show you two different ways to slice this. We're going to do one that's more of a classic. We're going to take it down to, say, a medium dice. And then I'm going to show you another way you can do it where you can just slice it for a saute, a regular saute if you were going for a different style. It's going to come out with the same flavor in the end, depending on what vegetables you use, but just another way to go about it. So, thing about zucchinis, first off, again, our cutting board, everything is situated, clean and sanitized. This zucchini has been washed already. I'm going to get rid of the ends. Again, this can go into your stock pot. All these little bits and pieces, if you were doing a vegetable stock, would be great for it. Now I'm going to show you the first way. This is more of a classical way. I'm going to cut this into pieces. This doesn't really matter. This is just for ease of cutting the vegetable. I'm going to cut it down into closer to those 2 to 3 inch pieces that we talked about earlier. That is just for ease of use. Now it's hard to see here, but in here there's a little ring of seeds. Some people don't care for that. And what we're going to do is kind of called a de-seeding method. Now, as before, when we worked with our carrot, our potato, when we were squaring it off, you can imagine that we're squaring this off, but instead of using the center, we're using the outside. So instead of trying to just cut off a little bit, I'm going to cut off a bigger chunk. If you can see here, I'm cutting off quite a decent amount here. When I cut into that, you're going to see a little bit of these seeds right here, but it's not as prevalent. In here, you see more of the seeds, okay? Now I'm going to roll it over on that side, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to cut off about the same amount. I'm trying to get to that point where we're looking right there. I'm going to roll it over. Same deal. Same deal. This right here, with this method, it's considered undesirable other than to go into our stock pot. So that's where it's going. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with these right here. I'm going to cut off the edges. I'm going to bring them down. You can see I'm doing a different style here. I'm leaving it on its end. This is a relatively safe way, and also you can see what you're working with down there. If you've got, because the seed core is going to differ from one of these to the next, okay? I'm going to take it. Be careful with your claw. Depending on what side, what end of the fruit you're on. This is a fruit. You will have, just got to be careful with it. Now, we're going to take this down to a medium dice. If you guys remember that a medium dice is a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. So I'm going for kind of like a large batonnet is what I'm going for there. I'm cutting this in. And again, I'm just doing this for, it's going to be a mixed veg a little bit later, mixed vegetable, so it doesn't have to be precise. But why do we try to cut our vegetables in the same sizes? Because they cook evenly, right? Because they cook evenly. Take these, break these down. I'll kind of give you the bird's eye view of it. Shape. Well, we'll go ahead and finish this up. This won't take but a second. Again, I'm always careful. I'm watching my claw here. I'm watching my claw technique. Sometimes, depending on what you're cutting, you can do like almost even a little slicing number right there. It's a little bit different cut. If it's a little bit smaller, I might do that same deal. Just trying to get these as uniform as possible while not losing any fingertips. Now there's another application I just thought about while I was looking at this. Zucchinis and squash are great for vegetable trays. If you were creating a vegetable tray, this is where you would want it right now. You could use these for sticks. You could pile these up. You could have some tomatoes, some broccoli, some celery, some carrots on there. You'd have you a fantastic vegetable tray. So you'd be wanting to go for between a bâtonnet and a medium dice cut for doing your vegetables for that. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to try to do the small to medium dice. I'm going to put 3 or 4 together. I'm going to end up with a nice little pile of vegetables that'd be great for sauteing. These little cubes saute very quickly because they've got more surface space, more surface area. It's a great little technique here. Now I'm going to fast forward. I'm going to pull this out of the way here. We're going to look at doing another application on these zucchini. I'll come back and I'll finish these up in a minute. Now, what we're going to do, I've got another zucchini here. This is something that I've used in a couple of different restaurants that I've managed, and it's a great application. Again, I'm going to cut this in half this time for ease of cut. I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut it directly down the middle. Doesn't have to be rocket science. We're cutting it straight down the middle. So you've got 2 halves like this. Now, in this application, you're going to have the seeds left in it. Some people don't mind it. I personally don't mind it. It depends on if I'm trying to be fancy or what. Now, you can just take this and you can cut it little half circles. Right now, you've got a half moon, right? You can just take this and you can cut, depending on the thinness that you want. You can cut them, that's about 1/4 of an inch thick. You can shave them if you'd like. If you're trying to do something really fancy, if you're making these maybe for a salad, it's another application. These are much thinner. You can almost see through these. If you wanted to cut them thick, if you were putting this maybe in something that was going to cook a little bit longer, maybe a stew. I don't know if you guys know it, but zucchini and squash are great in spaghetti sauces. A lot of people use that. That's an application there. Now, we just started by doing this. We were cutting it on a slice across, right? Now, I'm going to show you a little trick. This is called an elongated slice. Just by simply, and you see this in a lot of Asian cooking. You see this in a lot of Asian cooking. By changing my angle from going straight here, I'm going to turn the vegetable right here. I'm keeping my knife the same way. See it? Knife was right here. Fruit was right up there. The veg, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to turn it on that angle and I'm going to cut this way. Now, if you notice, we're going through. Got my claw cut was starting to get lazy. Now, just by turning that, we went from a cut that looked like this to a cut that looked like this. It's thinner. You can cut it, you can do different thicknesses as well. Now this right here, obviously, and I'm going to show you a celery in a few minutes. You're really going to see the Asian flair there. But this right here might be better for grilling. This could be a great application. You could do this in a little bit of olive oil, throw it on the grill. It'd be fantastic. A little salt and pepper. Just a couple of different ways to attack a zucchini or squash. You can do this with a number of different vegetables, but these work great. Summertime, you have a lot of gardens out there. People grow these all the time. You might have some growing in your own backyard or in your neighbors. Utilize them, because if they're growing them, they probably have too many. There you go.